Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. It is Watercolor Wednesday, and today I am going to do a bit of a watercolor mixed media piece. I'm going to use some pencil pens. I'm going to use some stamping, I think, in the background. I might use some temper sticks, but it's mostly going to be watercolor, pen and ink and watercolor. So I'm going to start off in this sketchbook, which I am so close to finishing this. I have so many almost finished sketchbooks, so I'm kind of excited about that. But I am going to work on this side of the page so that it will show up well for you. Honestly, a lot of times I only work on one side. Well, actually, in this book I tend to work on both sides, I guess, because it's nice and thick arches paper, but I'm going to work on this side. And today's prompt, actually the prompt, I'm filming this the day before today. I'm filming it yesterday. This is past Lindsay here. And the prompt was jacket, and so I thought it'd be fun to do almost kind of like a fashion illustration, but not quite. I saw this picture on Unsplash. At first I was going to do somebody in a trench coat, but then I was just kind of looking around a little bit more. I found something that I thought would be pretty good, but then sometimes, you know, you just want like, well, let me just look a little bit more. I have a backup idea, and then I feel like once you get the backup idea out of the way, a lot of times you takes the pressure off of yourself. So so then you can kind of think of some other ideas, and that's what I'm doing here. Boy, this is a young person, but I would say young as in their 20s, not young as in like a child. It's looking very, very young, but hopefully I can put some age on her. But I like this puffer coat that she was wearing, so I thought that would make a really cool subject. So I'm just kind of coming around drawing the collar of the coat. I'll hopefully remember to put this on the screen. I'm recording it now, and actually I wouldn't have recorded this one today, because this is kind of experimental, so it's not what I typically would do for a Watercolor Wednesday, where I try to keep it a little bit quicker and easier. But I'm telling you what, I have struggled to get stuff done this summer. It's been my schedule has ended up getting really, really full, much more full than I intended them. I'm kind of liking my pencil lines. I know they're very very, I want to say scumbly. They're kind of scumbly. They're kind of just, gotta concentrate. I'm doing a hand here. You know, they're just kind of scratchy, but I kind of like that, because I'll add detail when I go in with the I'll add detail when I go in with the ink. Okay, I think I need to, well, she's got a big glasses. Let's get those big sunglasses on and see what we think. First, I think I have her cheek too big. I think that's what's throwing me off. I think I have her face too round. So let's see. Yeah, let's get rid of that ear too. She kind of has a space bun thing going on, which I absolutely love. It's like she got this hood hanging down the back. It's like extreme puffer coat. Looks like it's kind of asymmetrical, but I think it's just probably the way that she's wearing it. But it's got a very like kind of hip, kind of punk rock. I don't know if punk rock is the right. It's got a vibe. It's got a vibe that I like. Let's see. I'm looking at it across the room too, which probably is not making it easier. Okay, let's get that part over there. Okay, there we go. I think I've got it. Sometimes you just know. You know it's not right, and then you know when it is right. There we go. Yep, I've got it now. That's such a good feeling when you're struggling and then you realize, got it. And I knew this was going to be a challenge, And that's why it wouldn't have been one that, because I have to think a lot for it, so it wouldn't be one that I would do typically for a Watercolor Wednesday, but that's alright. You can watch me struggle. That might be helpful. I don't know. This is going to come in a little bit more. And the zipper, get that zipper line where it should go. Okay, and so her eye line is like right there. Usually the eyes were halfway between the top of the head and the chin. I think the chin might have to come up a little bit. I think that I've got the eye line pretty well there. And also it can kind of help if you don't have, like, I'm just looking back and forth between my reference photo, but the reference photo is, it's on my computer, so it's about 2 feet in front of me, so it's a little, I'm not zoomed right in. A lot of times I'll have my phone and I'll like zoom right in, but I don't have that luxury right now. I do have my phone, but I mean I want to, I don't want to use it. Okay, so the glasses are really big and they're purple, so she's got a yellow coat and a purple glasses, which you would see if I remember to put the image on the screen, which I'm really hoping I do. But sometimes I don't remember. When editing, Lindsay doesn't remember what reality Lindsay intended. Yeah, because these glasses they like come down to the bottom of her nose. And then like her top eye, her like top eye line, like top lashes. And she's actually kind of looking through. I think I have that one actually a little too low because the way she's looking through. So I might just stop talking at points here. I apologize. But it is different. This, you know, the stuff that I think a lot of us you know, do on YouTube for more easier videos to follow along to. It's easier to talk on those because you're not trying to work it out. And this is not something I would paint more than once to do it like twice for a video. This is something I just do kind of for fun for me. Okay, I think that part needs to come down a little bit more. I don't have her likeness at all. The mouth is well, I don't know if the mouth is too big, honestly. I think it is, but I can refine that with a pen a little bit. I feel like her neck is a little too thick. So I think I'll bring that in a little bit. She also has a little bit of a, it's not double chin, but you can see her, you can like kind of see where she's got it bent there. She looks way angrier in my picture than she does in real life, but I like that kind of crazy hair. Alright, I'm going to go in with a pen. And I really like, you could do brown, I'm going to do black, and I think I'm going to do some black stamping. So I really like the Ohuhu liquid filled fine liners because I feel like you get a lot of product in there because this whole body is filled with ink. And sometimes they sell out, so if they're not available at the time of the video, then you know, just keep your eyes open. I do have a coupon code, actually, I'll share with you because I've got a Christmas in July project I'll be doing with Ohuhu. And I'll just share it early because I don't think they would care that I shared it on this video. It's good for anything in their website. I can't remember it off the top of my head, so I've got to just got to put it in there because it's like it's something Lindsay 10, but I don't know. It's good for like 6 months. All right, so I'm just gonna start. I'm gonna start in the eyes. So generally, when I'm drawing, I'm gonna start really bold and then refine as I go. But since I've got my pencil marks down already, I feel pretty confident to just go in with a pen starting in the kind of at the focal point and working my way out. And there's a couple of reasons I do this. One is because I just had to look up, make sure I was recording. That'd be awful. One reason is because if I kind of crap out and get tired of doing this, then at least I've got the most important stuff done, and I can leave the rest not quite so detailed. But also because sometimes I'm strongest when I first start. Sometimes I'm not. It depends. But I'd like my best energy to go to like that, like the most important areas. And plus, I don't put every detail in when I do the pencil sketch. It's mostly just to make sure I don't have the eyes all lopsided. Hopefully I don't. I mean, I could very well have the eyes lopsided. Who knows? I'll know tomorrow. I'll know when I take a picture of this and I post it on Instagram tonight, because it's yesterday's prompt, so so that's what I'll know. I'm gonna go right in with those eyelashes and everything. I'll probably no, so a lot of times I'll wait. I can't really even see the pupils, so I probably won't even do pupils. I'll probably just do like the iris, or just kind of darken it. Well, look at that, I already darkened it quite a bit. I just try to make a match, you know. And I think, you know, one of my intentions, one of my goals for World Watercolor Month, because I find if I don't set a goal for a month-long challenge, then I am really, like, I'm relieved when it's done, and I don't feel like, oh, I did a great thing, how awesome. I feel more like, well, I'm glad that's done. I don't, you know, I just feel kind of like lackluster. But if I set a challenge, like one Inktober, I wanted to get better at doing hands, and I did hands. And that was the first year I decided to set like a personal challenge in addition to just the following the prompts. So I had the challenge of drawing hands as well as the, you know, the prompts. I'm using this kind of straight up. I'm going to try to keep my hand out of the way. I might go to a thicker nib, actually. Once I get the facial details around, I'm going to go to a thicker nib and use it on its side. So that way you'll be able to see a little bit better, but I don't want to mess up any of this, this area here. Just got a little bit of a button nose, so I want to get that in there. I think that's kind of cute and youthful looking. I always wished I had a button nose. Both of my daughters have button noses. My husband has, like, you know, the ski slope nose. It's like, oh, my poor son. He's got my nose. There's nothing wrong with it. It fits my face, you know, and everything. I wouldn't get a nose job or anything, but man, when I was younger, I would have in a freaking heartbeat. But I kind of like how it's a little bit non-traditional. A little bit beaky. There, now you just got a little bit of a smile there. Cause she's looking sassy. She's got a cool outfit on. Yeah, now she looks a little bit happier. Not that people have to look happy. There we go. I think I've made her look a little too Caucasian though. The model is, I would say, model looks, gosh, I can't place it. I don't know. I don't want to say it wrong, so I'm not going to say anything. Okay, I think I can go to a thicker nib and just use it on the side now. So that was a 0.02. I do find that the Ohuhu liquid fine liners, and I think it's probably because they put more ink out than like a regular cotton core fine liner. I do find it go about I would go a size down. If you usually use a 0.3, go with a 0.2. And they come in a set. I don't think you can get them open stock. It would be great if they could. They've been selling a lot of stuff open stock these days. Now, if you do this and you go with a bigger nib, the ink does flow faster than your typical fine liner, I find. So if you use it on the edge, you can get a smaller, I love space buns. a smaller line, but it is going to flow pretty quickly. So if you're not comfortable with that, you may not like these fine liners. You may prefer to have like a micron, something with more of a slower flow to it. I might go back to that back to the 0.2 when I do the hands, because that's it's still a challenge, even though I spent all that time. Oh, you know what? I think I need to move that over just a touch. At the zipper, I want to get the little, just a little indication that we've got a zipper there. And then this seam is going to come around to there. So then that's going to drop back. So, you know, I'm constantly refining as I go. And then we've got what looks like a hood that's just kind of like snapped open. So I like details like that. And I'm just going to put those little snaps there. Now I can't really see the bottom of the jacket on the photo. My sketchbook is a little bit longer, so I'm just going to very lightly put in the seams of the puffer jacket that I see. And the folds, it'll fold in the fabric. Now it looks like she's got a pocket there, and her hand is in her pocket. And the other one is giving a high five. Where are my 90s kids at? She's got one hand in her pocket. And the other one's playing the piano. And we got the zipper over here. I'm just giving the indication. Now, when you have a really juicy fine liner, you really want to make sure, I'm just going to have that kind of go around her like that. You want to make sure that you heat set it so that you don't end up with, I'm just going to make that into a seam because I had a little bit of a boo-boo line there. You want to make sure you heat set it so you don't have any like ink bleeding as you're working. I don't think I'm going to put that line in there for her neck, honestly, the little fold line, because I think it's going to look way too exaggerated. I don't know if I ever adjust her quite right. She seems to be kind of like sticking out her chest a little bit. Not suggestively, but just the way she's kind of got her, I guess she's got, kind of like got that shoulder back a bit. I don't think I have that quite right, but all right, I'm going to switch back to the other pen for the hand. This is a pretty complex drawing. I'll have the reference photo linked down below so you can follow along. If you're watching this on your cell phone, one thing, at least on an Android, I don't know about in the YouTube app on Android, I don't know about on iPhones, but iPhones do seem to be, it seems like they have everything an Android has, so probably. But you can like pinch and zoom, so if you want to like really zoom into anything that I'm doing, like my palette or my picture, you can do that, and you can kind of see the detail. Hopefully my hand's not in the way, but honestly I would not. I didn't do very much detail in the hand, so I've got to kind of do it now. I'm not putting a ton of detail. I just kind of want to make sure that I've got the fingers in roughly the right place. And I've got to move them a bit because I didn't have them just right. And I don't have them quite making contact with her glasses, so she's going to be either just putting them on or reaching to take them off, I think, at this point. You know, when you lift your glasses to see something. I say, hey, is that an art store over there? That's me walking down the street. Hey, is that an art store I spy? Could be what she's saying. I don't know. She's living her best yellow jacket life, is what she's doing. Okay, I'm going back to the other. She have 4 fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to be doing a chat GPT here. She actually has an accent nail on this nail, but I think I'm going to do the black because I want to make it make a little bit more sense. I don't know if that would like... Sometimes you have to do shorthand in a video. I love this jacket. My gosh, I love the color yellow. It is not a great color on me though, but I do love yellow. It's such a fun color. I would drive a yellow car, absolutely. And got the seams, a couple wrinkles in the fabric. I like how the cuff of the shirt, the sleeve is just kind of like squished down into the puffer sleeve. Like this is obviously like an oversized coat. I think that looks really, really kind of cool. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to heat set this and I'm going to erase my lines because look at this. I'm going to bring it up so you can see. You can see I've got a lot of messy pencil lines there, but I really think the sketch is cute. So let's erase our lines and see where we're at. We'll probably have to add a little bit more pen. I'm going to heat set, erase, and then add any other details we need and heat set again. So be right back. All right, I got ink on my hand. I did smear some ink on this, but luckily I had planned to do some mixed media stuff with this anyway, so I'm not really that bothered by it. What I have here is some tracing paper. This is 120 sheets, and I think I paid around $8 for it on Amazon. I'll try to remember to link that up. If I forget anything that I mentioned in the video, just leave a comment and I will be sure to amend it. So what I want to do is make a mask of her so I can do some stamping over it. So all I'm going to do is lay the tracing paper down and just draw a silhouette here. Just draw her outline. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be really detailed. I just want to get... I just want to be able to protect, like, mostly the coat and the skin from getting any stamping on it. I don't care if it gets on the hair. Okay, so that's all I have right... Oh gosh, you probably can't see that. Let's move it over there. So see what we got right there. Okay, and I'm going to cut this out. Actually, I'll do that off camera. That's pretty boring. All right, she's cut out here. I'm going to take just a little piece of washi tape and just tack it down in the middle. I really don't need to do much more than that. Actually, I might not even need to do that much. I'm not sure how much I want to stamp. I think I would like to fill the background up, though. I think that would be really cool looking. I did end up cutting off the pigtails because I thought that was fine. You could also use masking fluid, I suppose. Oops, I got a couple little areas here I didn't trim too well, so I'll just hit that with the tape as well. Doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. All right, so I've got archival ink. This is waterproof. You got to make sure you use a watercolor, a waterproof ink if you're going to do this before you paint. And I've got these two sets of stamps, which I really thought they were fun. I picked these up on Amazon. This one I think was around $5. This one was around $8. But I just like how it's got just some basic like postage type. I don't know if it's really postage stamps, just stuff that would be like stamped on envelopes by like the postal service, and then these like receipts. Vintage receipts. I thought they were really kind of cool. And so this, I want this to have kind of like a cool, like city type feeling to it. And this was just a piece of acrylic. You know, if you don't have a big stamp mount and you buy one of these sets and they're like, oh my gosh, those stamps are huge, just go to like the dollar store and get one of those acrylic frames. And they're like $1.25, and they come all the way to like 8 by 10. Those are perfect for this because you don't have to, they have a little bit of flex to them, and they're cheap. They're so much cheaper. You probably pay over $10 for a stamp company one. Now I am a little concerned because I don't have anything under that. Oh, actually, you know what? I gotta take the stuff out of this back pocket. That's my DIY little value catcher thing. I mean, what do you call it? Viewfinder, view catcher. Let me see. What can I put under there? Gotta put something flat. Something flat. Let's put this sketchbook under there. I thought I was so prepared. I had everything out. That's the other reason why I wouldn't generally film something like this, because I tend to be all over the place grabbing stuff as I go. So, I hopefully won't. You know what? I'm just going to go ahead and lay a piece of tape over there so I don't get stuff on the opposite page, because I have been using both sides of this book. I don't think I'll take this book apart. Sometimes I'll be like, if I've got a lot of really, like I've got a couple really like finished works in a sketchbook and then the rest is kind of junk, I might pull out the finished works and, you know, do something else with them, but I think this is right set up. Usually they're kind of abstract enough that I can. Now I'm going to stand up and really give it to this stamp here. Really give it some welly, as Lynn from Dancing with the Stars would say. We got a little area that didn't stamp, but I'm not worried about that because I've got so many other little stamps that I can fill in with. I'll wash these later. For the Angel Archival ink, I really like this. I like this a lot better than Stays On, which I know a lot of people like to use the Stays On. But this, the Archival is not going to fade. I think Stays On might, because Stays On is actually an alcohol ink. And I just find it's more reliable. It gives me better results. And this is kind of the back side of the watercolor paper, so it's not quite as textured as the front side. So that's another little tip for you to use. Well, I might just overlap those, actually. You don't have to do this. If you don't have any stamps or you just don't like the look of it, don't do it. You can always collage some stuff in here. I might do that too. I cut out all kinds of stuff for my cruise sketchbook. I have a video on that if you're curious of my cruise sketchbooks. I started by stamping and adding some collage elements before I went on the cruise. I really want to make sure I get that pushed in good. It's alright. It's not perfect, but that's alright. This is just for like texture and background and stuff. Let me put that up going sideways. Generally, you want to match the mount to the size of your stamp. So you don't, because what can happen is, you know, see you stamp and your ink sometimes doesn't go where you want it. It goes off the stamp or on the block. If you don't have it, if it's really too big, oh, I hope this is making contact, then you have the run the risk of getting ink where you don't want it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is fill in with some stamps from that smaller set. You have to be careful if you have stamps that are in another language, because if you don't know what they say, then you could be making some art with totally different meaning than what you intend. I think numbers are pretty safe. These are smaller and bolder, so they're good for layering up. Hopefully I can get that. Get a few of these so I can balance the weight around. Oh, kind of like this one's got a date on it. I like this sort of stamping because it reminds me of collage, but you can do it as many times as you want. You don't have to worry about running out of your supplies. I mean, granted, you can get tired of, you give a few stamps and you get tired of them, but I find that the ones I tend to use the most are like kind of the generic ones. These are great to put in where things didn't stamp very well. I'm gonna have such a mess to clean up after I'm done. I might save that for tomorrow because sometimes I have a hard time getting started in the morning, and I find that if I leave a mess, that actually helps me get started. I mean, for some people that would make them dread going to the studio, but for me it helps me get started. And it's like you're starting on a hill, right? You're not starting from flat ground or going uphill. You're starting on a hill facing down. For me, anyway, that's how I find that sort of thing, how that works out for me anyway. So I leave a little mess, and then when I come back to the studio, it feels like, okay, I have a place to start. Because sometimes you just get stuck. I had a student once that, he was an older gentleman, he had Parkinson's, and actually I think he was, I used to work at a senior center, I was the art director. His wife took classes with me and he was there, and one day he asked me if I could just walk next to him. He goes, could you just walk next to me? Could you just step out in front of my foot? And for whatever reason, that just, like, he was kind of stuck, he couldn't move, and he goes, that just, it flips something in my brain so I can then step my foot out. And it was really interesting. So that's kind of what I think of it kind of like that starting on a hill thing. You kind of start and get yourself ready to go. So now we've got this really interesting background. I can do some collage on there if I want to. Let's just see. I definitely will want to, let's see, she does kind of look like she might be going on a trip. That needs to be trimmed a little bit more. So I've got this whole little thing I've cut out of collage things, just deciding, you know what, I think, oh, maybe I'll just add that, and maybe a couple other little things. I find that you don't just want to do one thing. If you're going to add some stuff, it's best to add just like 3 little elements. That's a little too, if that was smaller, I think that would be cool. But this is just a small sketchbook page, so I don't have a ton of space. Most of this stuff is like cruise theme, so it doesn't really work. A little bit of coin. No, I don't think that works. I'm not sure if that works or not. Oh, you know what? I like it better on, so I think it will work. Transatlantic. Would that work anywhere? It's like I don't want to cover up my drawing at all, though. Maybe that. Maybe just that. I kind of like that, though. I kind of like that. I don't know why, let me dry this real quick. Heat set. Don't forget to heat set. I do like that. I kind of like that tag too. But I don't think I can fit them both in there. Especially this time of year when it's so humid. Yeah, because I don't like all that heavy stamping. I think that lighter color works. And I'm just going to trim that down a little bit and see. Maybe if I trim the border off of it. That might be a mistake, but it's only a piece of paper. I love how when you start to add collage and stamping, all of a sudden, like your original sketch can take on a total mind of its own. You know what? I like that. I like that. Let me see if I have a little coin or something else. Okay. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. So for adhesive, I'm gonna use a glue stick, and I'm just gonna take this scrap of tracing paper. I like these Uhu glue sticks. They're permanent, and oh, I also have that. But I think, yeah, I think I like that, the vintage more. They're permanent, so, and I haven't had any issues with them on, like in my sketchbooks, paper to paper. I just recently bought a pack of glue sticks from the Dollar Tree because they were such a good deal. And paper to paper, they worked fine. I don't know if I would trust them for longevity. I don't know, but I was surprised. They're not washable. That's the thing. I don't want washable glue sticks. Washable glue sticks are not going to be permanent. So what I want to do mainly is just not get adhesive on the area I'm painting because it will probably act as a resist. So I'm trying to, that's why I'm adding the glue here. And it's just a sketchbook page, so I'm not going to add glue on top. But like if you were decoupaging, say, some furniture or something, you definitely want you'd want some glue on top as well. And I don't like to have, I want to make sure I don't have too much adhesive on because I don't want it to get out from the edge, and I also don't want it to, I don't want to, oh shoot, I already stuck it down, oh well. I feel like I need another little stamp there. I already did the Saturday Eve one. That would have been a good one for right there. Maybe. Maybe that one. Oh shoot. You get right back there, please. Let's see, which way do I want that to go? Like that or like that? I think I want it to go like that, maybe? We'll see. I think so. Doesn't really matter. It's just like nonsensical, really. There we go. Okay, now back to the pens. Oh, first let's cap off the glue stick. The other thing I like about these glue sticks is it's got a screw-on cap, so it's not going to pop off. You'll know you have it shut, where sometimes the snap-on caps, it's hard to, you know, it's easy to put the cap on not all the way, and then it dries out. All right. Go back to my reference photo here. Now that all should be dry enough. I'm going to darken up lines because Now that I have that stamping, I feel like I want my lines to be a little bit bolder. Even go over she does have dark hair too, so I think that's good to have a little bit darker there. And we will need to heat set it again because I'm going in with more color. Now I do think that when I erase my lines, it does lighten the ink a little bit, because I think sometimes when I erase it takes off that top layer of paper. You know, because when I go back in with my ink, it's a lot darker. You see what I mean here? I have no idea how long this is going to take. And I want them to stand out from the stamping in the background, or at least be about the same. You know, if it doesn't stand out as darker, at least be like the same amount of contrast anyway. Does that make sense? I don't want the background lines to like, the background stamping I mean, to take over. But I also don't want to overline or re-ink this too much, because I don't want it to I don't want to have like double lines or anything. The top is black, so I'm not too worried about having lines that are too dark there. I didn't put all the detail in for the zipper, so having a little double line there is not a big deal. And I do want her to stand out from the background. So I don't really mind double lining the coat, even though it's going to be a yellow coat. I still feel like I want a fairly dark line. And I'm not going to be erasing, because I've already got my pencil lines out here. But I think I want to be a little bit bolder with the folds and stuff on the coat, and the wrinkles on the coat where I can see them. I also don't want it to look like a cartoon, which I know my work does tend to get a little cartoony. Okay. All right, so let's heat set this again. Get rid of this sketchbook here. We don't need that underneath. Oh, I'm really liking it. I think it's going to look really nice. And then we'll start painting. So I'm going to give this a real proper heat set. I'm gonna take my time, probably take about 2 minutes to really heat set this well. And when we come back, we paint. After I heated this up, I made sure to press it down really well with a tracing paper, because sometimes heat will loosen adhesive, and I want to make sure those pieces were down. And I didn't get any transfer on there, so I think we're pretty good. I'm going to leave that there if it will stay, but if not, then I'll peel it up. It's not a big deal. I have some tonic watercolors here. I'm getting ready to review these, so I figured I would just have them out, and I've got 2 little ceramic dishes, and my water pots are over there. I think I'm going to start by mixing up a skin tone, and I'm going to use a small round brush for this, because I want to be able to get into all the details and stuff. Hopefully this one isn't too big. And I'm going to start with some yellow ochre. I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to it. I'm going to add a little bit of ultramarine. Maybe a little bit of the oxide red. My yellow Ochre. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Add a little water to it because that's pretty dark. Okay, and I'm just going to start by putting a glaze on the face and hair, because if you have a part and stuff, you'd be able to see through that. So I'm just going to go ahead and just unify everything with a glaze. All the skin, I mean. And watercolor dries a little bit lighter, so don't worry if it looks a little too dark. I want to get a little shadow in there, so I'm going to take a little bit of ultramarine blue, a little bit more of that iron red. And where we'd have a little shadow. You can also put it around the eyes. And a little bit in the hollows of the cheeks. Okay, and maybe a little bit of the magenta. Just a little bit in the cheeks and mouth area. I like to unify. I think that looks nice when you can you can always go in and refine it more later, but I like to have something that unifies. Some more water to that. These little dishes, little ceramic dishes, came from the Dollar Tree once upon a time. Too much water on there. I need a little bit of shadow on the inside of the hand. Let's see if I can do it wet into wet. Blot a little bit off my brush, but I don't know if I have a wrist big enough, but we'll see. Okay, and then get her belly. Which I'm thinking, if it's cold enough for a puffer jacket, I don't think I'd have my belly out. I don't have my belly out anyway, but well, if I looked like her, I would. Darn right. I'd say she goes to the gym. A little shadow in there. Okay, so, well, now I'm going to look and see, is there anything I can paint now without getting into the skin? I guess I could start to do the jacket a bit. I'm going to go in with this cool yellow here. I don't need to, I'll add a little bit of water because that's probably going to be darker than I think. And I'm just going to not go right up to the skin. But this will give me an idea of what I have for, it'll show me what the background looks like. Because I don't really know what I want to do with the background, honestly. I know I want some color there, but I haven't decided what I want exactly. So I do like to get my background in pretty quickly, just because because if you put your background in late, it can throw off all your values, so I like to get it in pretty early before I have too much stuff established. I'm going to just scooch up to that line as close as I can get. But that will give me a good idea of what I got to work with. I know I'll want to do something to unify it, so that's why I'm thinking I might use the tempera sticks to kind of tone down some areas, to tone down some of the stamping so it's a little bit more grayed out. And temper sticks are really neat because they don't reactivate. So if I do them in my sketchbook, it's kind of like watercolor crayons, except I don't have to worry about them transferring onto the opposite page or getting reactivated. Because the way I like to use watercolor crayons, it's pretty thick. So in sketchbooks where I use watercolor crayons, I generally do not paint on the opposite side because they will transfer. If, say, I'm like drawing on another page and it gets pressed down, it will, or it's really humid, you know, they could transfer. I tend to use them in cheaper sketchbooks anyway. This is a handmade sketchbook that I made last year. So these, it's made with nice paper that I can paint on both sides. But the ones like, especially when the sizing starts to go, they're not that great with watercolors anymore, and I can just use them for acrylics. I'm thinking actually purple would be cool in the background. I've got purple glasses. I am kind of worried that, you know, I want the glasses to kind of pop. So maybe if I did like a deeper purple would be cool. I think I'll try that. Let's just wipe out the skin tone area. So Tonic recently came out with tubes, so that's what I'll be reviewing coming up here, probably in a week or so. I want to get a couple paintings done. This is the first painting I've done with these. I mean, I've used the bigger pans, but this particular set. Maybe I will use, I just bought this brush. This is a, it was like $4. It's a Royal Nickel Soft Touch. I went to the store. I might be a little big for this palette. I went to the store called Rockport Blueprint in Camden, Maine. Some friends and I went to go do some plein air painting. We went with another group that was meeting in Tennant's Harbor. That's the name of the place. Oh my gosh, this gorgeous property. And this group that we met up with was, they go to like private residences for the most part. And so, you know, we're in like a private home, and it was, or at a private home, I should say. So I'm going to go, do I want to go over the pigtails? I don't think so. I think I'll try to stay away from those a little bit, but I do want to just kind of do wide, bold swaths of color. I'm probably going to be hitting some of the pages underneath. But I don't let my sketchbook get too precious. I don't let it get too precious because otherwise that's why I tell some people, get a cheap sketchbook. If you got some handmade sketchbook that either you spend an hour or two making, which actually I think if you can make your own sketchbooks, then what do you got to lose? You know, it's so much cheaper especially if you're doing a high-end paper. But like if you've got, say you bought a handmade sketchbook which would cost quite a bit of money. They're not cheap because of the labor that's involved. If you were buying a handmade sketchbook and you're like, oh, I don't want to, it's too precious, I don't want to waste it. Get a cheap sketchbook and go for it, you know. Don't have a sketchbook that you're afraid to work in. Because I see that. I see that a lot. And I think it's a real shame. Alright, I should have mixed up just a little bit more. I need to get in. I'm going to have to mix up some more and hope I can match it. Is that about right? We need a little bit more magenta. That's a little too dark, actually. Pull up my brush. Actually, that's alright that it didn't match perfectly because I can add a little bit of accent here and there, which I think looks kind of cool. Alright, so am I going to want something else in the background? I kind of want to use those paint sticks because they're fun. Alright, so I got this color here. Let's see. These are quick sticks. I got them at, I got them online from Blick Art Materials. And you can blend them a bit when you first put them down. But when they dry, they're permanent. So if you have any areas where you're like, I don't like how bold that is, go ahead and add some of these. And I would probably stick to analogous colors, which are like colors that are similar to one another. Like I think I want to do a little bit of a frame, so oh, that color, look how bright, look how bold that is, but I like it. That's kind of the color I'm going to go for, I think, on the glasses. Kind of makes a nice frame. And you can leave that kind of chunky line if you like. You can thin it out with water, but it's got to be right when it's wet. It's not going to reactivate once it dries, which I like that. All right, we're doing good. We're doing good, I think. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and put the, I burnt myself baking bread, and I've been putting aloe and a bandage, loose leaf bandage on it every day, and it catches stuff sometimes. Luckily, it doesn't hurt. I think I'm going to actually, I just thought I would just use the black in the kit, because why not? But I think I'm going to add a little bit of the magenta to it, so it's not like a dead black, so it's got a little color to it. I generally don't use black, but I'm not opposed to anything in watercolor, really. I think that, you know, you should be open to experimenting. I would definitely recommend a limited palette at first. Like a split primary palette, which has a warm and cool version of each primary color. Maybe like a burnt umber or burnt sienna and yellow ochre, maybe a sap green for convenience, and then like mixing from there. But yeah, I don't subscribe to the traditional rules, because a lot of times, like, list of people that like we don't use white, never use white. I used to be a never use white person, but I was also a not use pastel person either. But there'll be people that'll preaching never use white, and then they're using titanium buff, and that's a white, that's just unbleached titanium, which is an opaque color. It's almost like some people just refuse to use white because they've been told don't use white, but then they'll use colors that have white added to them, which I think is a little silly. And I think that probably speaks to maybe they're not using white because they were told they never could use white and it was against the rules, and then they, you know, they don't know why they don't want to use white. Which, I mean, if you know why, because you want to have really transparent watercolors, you want to stick to really transparent colors, okay, that's a reason not to use white, because then you're probably not using pastels, or you're not using titanium white, and that is definitely a valid choice. I'm not saying that's how I used to paint. But if you're not using white, but you're using pastels, if you're not using white because you think there's something evil about it, I think that's kind of silly, personally. All right. If you're using those other colors, I'm going to take a little of this color and add it to that frame that I started building, because I like a frame. I like a frame. Actually, I kind of don't mind, especially towards the end of the sketchbook, getting colors on those other pages, because sometimes that can, having a little bit of a imperfect page to start with is kind of freeing and empowering. It's starting on a hill, you know, you started with a smudge already on the paper that you have to deal with, and I think that's kind of a cool way to work. Oh, I'm liking this, actually. Okay, so what do I want to do next? I'm going to need some smaller brushes, because we've got some small details in there. I seriously need to go through my brushes, because I'll get a new brush and I'll stick it in the pot, and now it's like I can't get to anything because I have so much stuff in there. And I'll like use my palette mud. So if I'm making these brown eyes, I'm adding some of that red earth because it's not a brown in the tonic range currently. So I'm using the red earth as my brown, which it is a PR 101, which is like a burnt sienna color. And I'm just gonna kind of mix and just kind of try to keep things somewhat neutral. Hopefully I'm not leaning into the shot. I tend to like the work I don't film better, and I think it's because I lose track of time and I really concentrate, but I feel like I'm concentrating all right with this. I'm enjoying this one. Although, I will say it does look a little more cartoony than I generally would like, but I'm okay with it. I'm going to make her nails also that kind of purple color. It'll be like a purple black. I think that will look cool. Hopefully the eyes don't lift when I go to paint the sunglasses. Okay, so for her hair, I'm going to use a bunch of this red oxide. She does have some purpley reds in her hair. I'm going to take some ultramarine with the red oxide and get kind of the blacker roots in. You can always use gouache too if you like are doing one of these something crazy mixed media thing and you're like, oh no, I just botched it. I covered up something I didn't want to cover up. Gouache is great. In fact, white watercolor isn't really meant for opaque highlights. Even a titanium white, which is supposed to be a pretty opaque color, it'll be listed as opaque because as far as watercolor is concerned, it's very opaque. But it is not as opaque as a gouache or like a white pen. So I would recommend, unless you like to mix with white to like control the viscosity of your paint, I would say get a white gouache. Get some like Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white in a little pot. That stuff is great. For me, I'm going to go for getting the effect I want to get. And I tend to be one of these people that loves to limit things, loves to like personal challenges and stuff. So for the longest time, I did the traditional watercolor, only traditional watercolor, no white. But then I just realized, you know, it's just, I enjoy it more when I let myself kind of let loose a little bit. Take some of that magenta on its own. I'm going to see if that will stand up, if that will show up. Might need to go in with a pen or something, but then again, you know, when you color your hair a crazy color, a lot of times it's going to let your regular hair color show through, so having some of those dark colors showing through on there, I think, actually might make it look a little more realistic, having just like that little bit of a halo of the color. Oh, I think that looks nice. I like that. I don't know if anybody's going to want to do this project, but maybe people will watch it and be like, oh, that's kind of an interesting technique. I don't have any desire to try it, but now I know like I could apply it to something else, and you know, that's valuable too, I think. I might do a little gel pen highlights or something. Alright, now for the glasses, I need something that's not quite so floppy. Let's see, gonna do a purple, but I think I want a little bit more magenta-y purple than the background. I'm gonna hit that real quick with a heat gun to make sure that the eyes are dry. I probably should have mixed a different colors for the skin tone, just because the ultramarine granulated kind of aggressively on her face there. Oh well. She's got not rose tinted glasses, she's got purple tinted glasses. Oh my gosh, I like that. I think that is super cute. All right, I think I'm going to do a little bit of shading on the hand. Well, I shouldn't have gotten rid of all of that skin tone, but that's all right. It's pretty easy to make skin tones. I mean, if you've ever made mud on accident on your palette, you've made skin tones. Congratulations! Just neutrals. Let me just soften that up a little bit. All right. Work on the coat, maybe add a little bit of shading. Let's take a little bit of this orange. Maybe even a little bit of this warm yellow. Why are you jiggling, palette? That's not cool. Be cool, palette. This is our darkest area in here. Little crinkles. There's a lot of red, red in this picture. I don't know where the red lighting is coming from, if it's just actually part of the coat color, like that orangey red. Oh, I see that actually on her hands a lot too. It's like it's like a reflection from the coat. Because it's such a bright, it actually is a very bright colored coat. I like to go in my darkest, you know, since there's those bold orangey shadows. I like to go with my bolder colors first because then it just kind of makes you brave. Because once you get the bold ones in, the subtle ones are no problem whatsoever. Alright, then the other shadow just seems to be more of that original yellow color mixed in with some of that orange. Yellows tend to have, well, a lot of yellows, I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them have a bit of opacity. It's just you don't think of them as being opaque because yellows are such a low, they have such a short value range. There's not a lot of, you know, variety in the, like when you add more yellow, you don't really get a darker color because the value range is so short. So you don't really think about it as being an opaque color, but a lot of yellow has some opacity. So if you have line work that's a little bit too bold, you don't like, painting in a yellow will often soften the line work quite a bit, and you might like it a little bit better after that. And I'm just going to go in, I'm just going to finish putting these yellow shadows and details in, and then I'm going to dry this really well, And then when we come back, we will add probably just a few details with either colored pencil or pen or something like that, because I really don't think this needs a ton of stuff to it for it to be effective. And gosh, it's probably been an hour already, so I don't want to keep you all darn day. I'm sure you've got things you want to do. All right, I did add a little bit of shading there because I totally forgot that. I bought this General's Charcoal White Pencil at that Rockport Blueprint shop as well, and I thought this might be kind of fun for doing just a little bit of highlighting on the skin. You know, because it's so soft and I can easily wipe it away or erase it if it's too much. But there is some pretty strong highlights, like on the back of the fingers, on the back of the neck there. Oh, I like this. I like this pencil a lot. I might need to... Well, if I do fixative on... That's a thing, though. The sketchbooks might not be the best idea. If I do fixative, then it could transfer, but it's only white, so I'm not going to worry about it too much if this is the only... If that's the only stuff I do. And I also thought this might work well on the jacket for a highlight. Oh yeah, that does work well. It's not a super soft pencil. I did give it a quick sharpen with my Derwent Pastel pencil sharpener. It's just a little handheld one, because sometimes when you get a pencil, they'll have like almost be sealed. I don't know if it's just what happens like as humidity and things sit on a shop shelf, but I have noticed that before. Like a lot of times my pastel pencils perform a lot better once they are sharpened. I like this. I think that adds a nice amount of body and puff to the coat. This is really light there too, especially getting those edges and getting her to pop off the background a little bit. Okay, I like that. It's subtle. It's demure. I like it. All right. Now I think I'll take my favorite white gel pen, which is sold out. You guys, I told you a secret last week. I told you about these pens, and now they're sold out. Did you tell everybody? We're supposed to keep that a secret. We're supposed to keep that between us and not tell everybody on YouTube, because now they're sold out and we can't get them anymore. Hopefully they come back in stock, because I did not buy a backup set. I thought about not... Actually, I almost gatekept these pens because I was thinking maybe I should buy like an extra set before I tell anybody. I'm like, Lindsay, don't do that. You gotta tell the peeps. You gotta tell them about these pens. I'm just giving a little bit of gloss. Oh my gosh, I like that. So I told you guys, and I don't know if you guys bought them all or you told 10 friends and then they told 10 friends, and that's why we can't get those pens anymore. Hopefully they restock them, because these are awesome. I'm trying, and I've been like looking, because I'm like, no, Lindsay, don't buy a backup until you use them up, because it's a 3-pack, and I have this down here in the studio. And I have one pen in my travel art bag, which, oh my gosh, so nice, such nice pens. Because, you know, I think it's really hard when you have them in your travel art bag. I think they have a hard time going through the fluctuating humidity of being in a travel art bag, where it's at home, then you're like at the coast, and, you know, it's just such a variation. Because it seems like the ones in my travel bag do not last as well as the ones at home. But this is such a heavily inked pen, and it just it has so much ink in that, and it is such a juicy pen. So far so good. It's holding up really well. But anyway, I'm like, don't buy any more. Use up what you have. Make sure they last like for a long duration, or make sure you can actually I don't care like necessarily how long they last. It's like, can I use it up? Because like I feel like with so many pens, I can't use them up. I'm doing more like the details or the textures on the coat, the wrinkles in the coat with this. you know, a lot of pens, they just clog or dry out before you even get a chance to use them. So, yeah, I was, for once I had a modicum of self-control, and I did not order a backup, and now they're all sold out. Oh, it bums me out. Hopefully they restock them. I mean, it's a good product. I was looking to see if I could find other companies that sold this pen, because look how it's all filled with ink. Look at that. I love it when they fill a thing with ink, and it's got like a silicone stopper, it looks like. So I've been looking for pens like that, and I think I found some that may be the same, but you know, I hasten to recommend them unless I'm sure, because I don't want to waste your money. I don't want to waste my money, but I really don't want to waste your money. At least I can write it off because the business expense. But I think I want a little bit of something on that to like highlight the her pants there. Let's see, maybe, I wonder if this would show up. Oh, that's a pretty color, but I don't think it's light enough or opaque enough. I'll put some in there, though. I've already put it a couple places. This one actually might be nice in the hair. Oh yeah, I like it in the hair, actually. This is really fun. Trying to keep my hands out of the way. The little collage things, as I was heating them, I'm going to sharpen this. If you have headphones on, take them out for a sec. I just reviewed or compared some new pencil sharpeners Monday if you're in the market. I pulled this out before auto stop, so I didn't get that really, really fine tip that would break, because I was afraid that might be too sharp of a point if I did that. But I'm liking it. They're by Afmat. I'll try to link up the one that I decided to keep upstairs here, because I think that's a great one for artists. I don't think it's best for classroom use, because I don't think it's as safe as the other one, meaning it's got a big hole so you can do your jumbo pencils. But I think it would also take fingers, so I don't think it's a good option for if you have little kids hanging around. And it will engage, my blade will go even if the top is off. So I don't know, I just don't, I feel comfortable using it myself. I don't think it's an issue for an adult, but for a teacher that has little kids in their classes, or if you're a parent, I wouldn't recommend that one. I feel like I want another little, like, oops, should have done that with a pen. That's not, it needs structure other than a, these do not go great over a colored pencil. I don't think any fine liners do. Oh, you know what? I need a little shadow in the ear itself. I did not do that. I'm going to do it now. So I love about watercolor, you know, you need just a little something. Well, if it's dry on your palette, all you got to do is take a wet brush. All right. Now I'm just thinking, do I want any like chunky shapes? I love these things. They're so freaking fun. They've gotten kind of expensive though. They're not super opaque, so if like you've got some areas you're like, I kind of botched that, and you just want to tone it down a bit, you could do that with these sticks, which I think is really cool. Just make sure you cap them up really good so that you... Actually, that's why I've kept them in there. I usually don't keep things in the case they come in, but I did with this, because if you don't have your caps on, they won't fit back in. So then you know that you've got it capped up, and it's not going to dry out on you. I feel like I want a finer pen though for the hair. I do want to do some highlights. Hopefully this is a jelly roll. No, it's an Ohuhu. It's a 0.8. I'm going to see if I can get some little fine highlights. Yeah, because the other thing just puts out a little bit too much ink. My favorite pen, my new favorite pen. I've got a new favorite pen. I've got a new favorite pencil sharpener. Not for pastel pencils, but for, I mean the electric one for the color pencils. But I'm going to call this done. Actually, I think this looks really good. And it was so much fun to create this with you today. I love using the complementary color scheme. I knew I kind of wanted to do that, but I didn't know that I was going to go all in on that. And I liked a little bit of, I liked a little bit of collage, but I feel like I need to glue it back down. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I think we've learned something about the Oohoo glue stick. It is only permanent. Oh my gosh. I can't believe how much that comes up. Okay. We got to reglue that. Actually, that does look kind of cool. Yeah, it's permanent if you don't wet it. So that's good information. Maybe it's not as permanent. But anyways, so I was telling you about those Dollar Tree glue sticks. I experimented with paper to paper and I thought they did pretty good. Now somebody told me that the Dollar Tree sticks did not work and they were junk. And I'm kind of wondering, I guess I also don't have really high expectations of a glue stick. I'm expecting to glue paper to paper. That's what I want. And washable, I don't go for washable glue sticks because they're meant to be resoluble, you know, because they're meant so if you have kids, that one's fine. You know, so if you have kids, they don't, you know, glue things to your table. You can wash the glue off your table and whatnot. So I have reasonable expectations, I think, for glue sticks. But I don't know. I think some people have very, very high expectations for glue sticks. I didn't glue that down exactly right, exactly perfectly. Well, now I'm going to go for that really sharp point and see if I can actually, I think I want a darker purple pencil for that. Let's do like a black grape or something. Headphones. Okay. Oh, I think I'm still going to have a little white halo. Maybe not. I glued it down pretty close. Probably would have been fine if I didn't do anything to it. Oh, this is a little tip too. If you ever do collage and you're like, it does not integrate, it looks awful, try adding a shadow, try adding a little drop shadow. That usually does the trick. I learned that when I was scrapbooking a lot and stickers were all the rage, and I would put stickers on and they would look absolutely horrible, and I'm like, how come I cannot master putting stickers? That should be pretty remedial scrapbooking, right? Putting stickers on a page. Why does it look like a 4-year-old just randomly put it? They call it the sticker sneeze. That's what the technique of this goes called, sticker sneeze, when you just have like a bunch of random stickers and it looks awful. And I found this was my trick. I'd take colored pencils or chalk and I would shade around them. And that made all the difference there. I think that looks so much better. Does she need more shading? Oh, you know what? I'm going to add this. This is a great shading color for her. Well, it's black, but I like it better at purple. Her little outfit here. She just came from the gym. She probably just came from some hip-hop dance class because she's cool. She's been busting moves. She has been having a grand old time. Living her best life. You go, girl. I don't know if anything I just said is still remotely hip. I'm guessing probably not. So don't say what I say thinking you're going to be impressed with the kids. No, you're not. All right, there we go. Hey, even better. Even better. I'm really happy with this. I hope you like it. I know it's a little cartoony, but oh my gosh, wasn't this fun? I'm so glad I recorded this. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Tell a friend if you think they would enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next one. Happy crafting. Bye.